We now move on to questions to enterprise, trade and investment, and I call Mr Martin and Mueller.
Question number 1.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and thank the member for his question. I welcome the publication in November of Intertrade Ireland's Mapping the Potential for All Ireland Sectoral Ecosystems. I launched it with my fellow Enterprise Minister Richard Bruton at the North-South Ministerial Council on the 2nd of December 2015. And the detailed report, which is the first of its kind, maps geographic concentrations of firms in the same sector across Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and it makes the recommendations on how the full potential of these ecosystems can be realised through new cross-border initiatives. To assess whether there are economic merits to developing sectoral ecosystems on a cross-border basis, Intertrade Ireland carried out a more detailed case study analysis on 3 identified growth sectors: medical devices, pharmaceuticals and software. The case studies have identified potential opportunities for cooperation for mutual benefit, particularly in the areas of research, clinical trial coordination, opening up opportunities to advance training of staff on a cross-border basis, and widening sub-supply goods and services markets. I'll be discussing that report and its recommendations with my counterpart Richard Bruton at the next NSMC meeting.
Mueller for a supplementary.
I want to thank the Minister for his work he's been doing with Intertrade Ireland over the last month and a half in relation to their funding first, but also to thank him for his comprehensive answer on this question. Minister, you probably have read the entire report, but certainly I have read the summary and the conclusions. And right at the end, in fact, the last sentence of the last paragraph of the report, it refers to one of those sectors, and that's the software sector. And it talks about how software industries really on the island are located Dublin and Belfast, and talks about the energy and potential of that Dublin-Belfast corridor for software. Minister, when you talk about taking it forward, could I ask you to make it a priority to provide the funding or resources so that we can do more work on this, more detailed work, to try and give the backing to Intertrade Ireland, to those sectors, to create the jobs that we want to see north of the border in particular?
I will align myself fully with the member's comments about improving the technology sector in Northern Ireland. It is our knowledge-based sector, in many cases, is growing exponentially. I mean, in some areas, I'm thinking of knowledge-based sector in the science park and others, it's growing by up to 30%, which is huge growth, and we must maintain that momentum. And anything that we can do to deliver more jobs in Northern Ireland, we will take in relation to that. As members will know, I've maintained the baseline for Intertrade Ireland, because when something is delivering for Northern Ireland companies, I want them to continue to deliver. And I think the member will be pleased to note that I've approved an additional bid of additional money for 2016 of £206,000 for Intertrade Ireland, and that's subject to the Intertrade Board ratification.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and thank the Minister for his answers to date. Can the Minister give us his assessment of the collaborative business network programme designed to help the industry sectors as established by InvestNI? I think we all do recognise the good work of Intertrade Ireland.
I acknowledge the good work that the member has highlighted. In Northern Ireland, the clustering approach has underpinned Invest Northern Ireland's Collaborative Business Networks programme, and that's seen the development of more than 30 networks. The Collaborative Network programme was launched in September 2011, and it's funded networks across a variety of industry sectors aligned to the DETI matrix thematic priorities, and that included connected health, data analytics, IT skills, renewables, digital media, and indeed aerospace. And that programme fully supports SMEs to collaborate with others, particularly larger companies and higher education institutions, to develop the capacity and the capability, and ultimately to derive business benefit from those that are involved in and supporting the wider Northern Ireland economy.
Call Mr Daniel McCrossan.
Mr Speaker, can I ask the Minister what steps he plans to take to enhance the data collected in the Northern Ireland Census of employment and analysis and policy conclusions through the geocoding of firms and the recording of firm size?
Welcome the member to the House. We will use all of the data that's available to us to help to target our resources to support firms, and I'm very keen that we support both large and small scale. We look to initiatives right across Northern Ireland, and we use to take the best intelligence to support those firms, and we'll utilise all our data analytics to the full ability.
Thank you. And before we move on, can I inform members that question 6 has been withdrawn? And I call Mr Fergal McKinney.
Mr Speaker, question number 2.
And I thank the member for his question. And, Mr Speaker, with your permission, I'll answer questions 2 and 7 together. The Year of Food and Drink 2016 is a significant opportunity to positively influence the perception of Northern Ireland's food offering in key areas such as tourism and also in our export markets. We aim to generate £10 million of positive PR and increase exports by £30 million. In a direct answer to Mr McKinney's question, Tourism Ireland outlined its plans for promoting Northern Ireland, including the Year of Food and Drink, at the NSMC Tourism Sectoral Meeting on the 2nd of December 2015. Tourism Northern Ireland, Invest Northern Ireland and DARD are also committed to the delivery of that initiative. And Tourism Northern Ireland has coordinated a series of dedicated industry and event roadshows right across Northern Ireland, and Invest Northern Ireland will assist local food and drink businesses to export by organising Northern Ireland group stands at 10 food and drink exhibitions and other regional events that are right across Europe, the Republic of Ireland and Great Britain. DARD will be supporting the Year of Food and Drink through the regional food programme. So we're on the back of another highly successful launch at the Ulster Hall, and I think we're in the right trajectory to show the potential that our food and drink offering has.
Mr Fergal McKinney.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can I thank the Minister for his answer? I'm glad he enjoyed that launch. Some of us were surprised not to have been invited to it. Can I ask the Minister how he plans to measure the success of the Food and Drink 2016 project?
Well, I think the first thing is what we look at is sales of £4 billion per annum. We also look to measuring against the agri-food industry. It's our largest manufacturing sector. It's providing us with about 10% of all private sector employment. And not only can I say to Mr McKinney, I want to measure against that, I actually want to build upon that. And the Year of Food and Drink offers a whole opportunity to differentiate, to celebrate Indigenous local food and drink. I know Mr Wells, his constituency in South Down, they were looking specifically at the food and drink offering, the tourism offering, in the back of the success of the Irish Open and other initiatives. The Irish Open attracting well over 100,000 paying spectators. I can say to him that one particular initiative that I only found out about at the weekend, which was a Whitewater Brewery in Kilkeel, they have a new craft ale, which is Maggie's Leap. I helped to launch it at the Irish Open, and I understand that there are at least 5 pallets of that new craft beer heading for Asia to celebrate part of the Chinese New Year. So not only are we being successful locally, we're also being successful on international markets.
Mr Jim Wells.
I would welcome the announcement by the Minister on this campaign. As he would be aware, South Down in particular offers excellent product in terms of the results of the fishing industry. Is there anything specifically in this campaign that will target, for instance, the prawns, which are the vast majority of which are produced by South Down trawlermen, and other whitefish, again, which are very high quality, being produced out of places like Kilkeel and on along?
Of course, And the reality is not only the foods that the member has mentioned, all are indigenous and sometimes award-winning and internationally award-winning, from our Comber potatoes, the eels, all of the indigenous pieces of our food offering. What we will do is we'll take together, we will showcase. We've seen the great news in terms of BBC and some of those major programmes now coming to Northern Ireland, many of them with millions of viewers. And we've got a unique opportunity to boost our tourism figures are on an upward trajectory. I know our hotel occupants, I haven't spoken to them all, but I've spoken to many of them who are quite happy with the healthy occupancy figures that we have, the number of cruise ships that we're attracting, all of which is showing that Northern Ireland has something very unique and something very special. And what we want to do is show where Northern Ireland's strength and its opportunity for differentiation is regionally produced, where it's distinctive and where it's provenance-based local produce, not just for our agri-food, not just for our markets, but to tell people to come here and to visit and enjoy it as part of their tourism experience.
I thank the Minister for the details so far. I mean, Northern Ireland food and drink is something that I am very passionate about, and something that I think that can be sold very easily. But really, to provide comparisons, can the Minister tell me what's the current level of food and drink exports from Northern Ireland that he hopes to increase by 30 million, and what was the spend last year, for instance, in promotions of Northern Ireland food and drink for exports, and how many exhibitions did we go to last year that he wants to have 10 there this year, just to provide comparisons?
I don't know which of the three questions that were there. I think we should actually focus on what the aim is. And I welcome the member's passion for the subject. The comparison that I want to see at the end of this year is, have we generated £10 million in PR, £5 million in the Great Britain and overseas, £2 million in Northern Ireland and £3 million in the Republic of Ireland. The comparison I want to see from at the end of this period is, have we increased our export sales by 30 million? Have we increased by 5% the level of visitor satisfaction with Northern Ireland food and drink as measured by the Northern Ireland Visitor Attitude Survey? Have we 10 new food experiences developed, whether that's consolidated food buyer, producer, network or clusters? Have we progressed with DARD 10 new applications for PGI status, and have we got the Commission's approval for at least 2 by the end of 2016? And have we increased the number of entries to Gold Taste Awards to 105 companies that won 400 stars? That's what we're looking at in terms of the umbrella identity. 4 Year of Food and Drink 2016 roadshow events were partnered with Food Northern Ireland. They have been attended by approximately 350 delegates. Tourism Northern Ireland also supported, through the Tourism Events Fund, an additional scheme specifically for food and drink at those events, and a total of £300,000 has been allocated for that scheme.
Mr. Kieran McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I remind the Minister and indeed other members that there are more than 2 fishing ports in Northern Ireland. There's Kilkeel, there's Ardglass and there's Portavogie, which Mr. Wells seems to have forgotten about. But the Minister did mention the Comber potato. Could I remind the Minister that unless he joins with the Department of Agriculture Minister to do something in relation to the Comber spud, there will be no Comber spuds left because of the prices that the growers are getting, 14 pence a kilo, yet they're being sold in the supermarkets for £1. There's something strange and something very wrong. Will the Minister try and do something about that?
Yes, I mean, I certainly understand. I believe the Comber potato, I would disagree on that. I believe it has a great future, and when we did the Comber Potato Festival, and we were there on the Saturday morning. Everybody saw the interest over the summer period and the quality of the product. I think everybody can understand in the Comber potato not only has it got a great present, but it has potentially got a great future. But the member does raise a very important point for the food producers, and I've asked Invest in Northern Ireland to continue to work alongside all the food and drink companies of all sizes and from all subsectors to ensure that they get the best price for their pure, natural quality produce. And that provides, the year provides an opportunity to promote the quality produce both at home and in markets outside of Northern Ireland. And we will be working alongside the local food and drink businesses to export by organising Northern Ireland group stands at those 10 food and drink exhibitions. And that will include the major exhibitions such as Gulf Food in Dubai in February, SAIL in SIL in Paris in September, and other regional events where we can across Europe, the Republic of Ireland and Great Britain. But ultimately, to be able to export and to be able to sell, we need to support the producers, and we will continue to work with DARD on how we can do that.
And before moving on, I'm getting a bit concerned that questions are now being brought forward with a very long introductory passage, which also at times I think provokes a very long answer from the Minister. Can I say all of that is to the disadvantage of those who are on the question list, and I may intervene if I feel that members are not getting quickly enough to their question. Can I now call Mr Alec Maskey?
Development, including housing and business uses on this former industrial site. Now, if it is the wish of the promoters, Invest Northern Ireland would be willing to market any suitable business property through its online database, and the property can also be included within property searches in line with specific investor requirements.
Mr Maskey for supplementary.
Can I thank the Minister for that response? Could I ask the Minister that, given his obviously is certainly the sentiment of support for this particular initiative, that obviously there are difficulties surrounding the developments like this, but could I ask the Minister, could he have his officials at least make contact or accept contact from the Fold Housing Association to explore further opportunities of creating an economic development on that particular site?
Yes, I mean, I'll certainly instruct my officials to do that and work alongside the member. Anything that brings jobs into Belfast, we want to see and be part of it. And when I look at Glassmark, Design, Chemtest, just to name a couple, we see where the success already is in West Belfast, not least because of the quality of the workforce that is there.
Thank you. And I call Mr Daniel McCrossan.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can I ask the Minister where am I at here now? I'm trying to find. What measures the Minister will put in place to ensure that efforts are made to attract economic investment and that they're made a priority in areas of greatest disadvantage?
Well, I think the first thing we want to do is to ensure we get the jobs to Northern Ireland. That has to be our priority. What we will always do is we will target and showcase particular areas for the unique skills that may be there because of the cluster of areas that are there. And working with our 11 councils, we've asked them all to look at what are their unique selling points for their particular areas. I should say that we have asked Invest Northern Ireland to look at Northern Ireland as a whole. The Executive did ask them to deliver over the past 4 years a very ambitious target of 25,000 jobs, which, as you know, they massively exceeded. Now, what I will say to any member that has a particular concern, come and talk to me. We will look with Invest Northern Ireland at what is unique, special for that particular area, and see where we can make those networks to deliver jobs and investment in Northern Ireland.
Thank you. And I call Mr Phil Flanagan.
Question number 4.
During the period 2011 to 2012 to 2014 to 2015, with Invest Northern Ireland support, Businesses based in areas east of the River Band promoted 27,116 jobs. During the same period, businesses in the area created 20,451 jobs. During the same period, with Invest Northern Ireland's support, businesses based in areas west of the River Bann promoted 9,679 jobs. During the same period, businesses in the area created 7,416 jobs. It's Invest Northern Ireland's role to support those companies that bring forward investment projects that are based on merit, irrespective of where they were based. Jobs promoted are jobs that a company can expect to create in the future years forward-looking. Jobs created are jobs that have actually been filled at that particular point in time and may relate to investments that have been secured in earlier years. It's therefore not possible to directly compare jobs promoted in a period and jobs created in the same period.
And I call Mr Flanagan for supplement.
I thank the Minister for his answer. I'm somewhat alarmed that for every job promoted or created west of the Bann, that there are 3 comparable jobs east of the Bann. I think it presents us with a significant social and economic challenge. But can I ask the Minister whether he accepts that areas west of the Bann require additional focus, both from his department and from SNI? And can he indicate to the House when the Regional Opportunities Subgroup of the Executive intends to next meet to discuss the issues and the opportunities that present themselves in places like Fermanagh and Tyrone?
I can tell the member, without that body meeting, I've been specifically looking with a number of businesses in the West what exactly we can do. And it is important to note that in terms of we've been working alongside Fermanagh and South Tyrone in terms of the Regional Start initiative, encouraging potential entrepreneurs to produce a business plan as one of the key early steps to a new business. And under the local government reform, a number of economic development functions transferred to the 11 councils, including the local start-up provision. The councils have requested that Invest Northern Ireland continues to manage the RSI until March 2016, with the potential flexibility up until October 2016. And that will help all of us shape how enterprise can be delivered in the particular areas. And the Regional Start Initiative continues to operate successfully, and the member will note that by November 2015, the Western Regional Contract of RSI, including Fermanagh and South Tyrone, had delivered 2,251 business plan approvals. And for jobs in that particular area, the member can look to Westland Horticulture, to Dunbea, and particularly to Teleperformance for some significant involvements and confidence of investors in the area.
Thank you. And I call Mr Gordon Lyons.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Does the Minister agree with me that sub-regional targets for Invest NI would be wrong and would actually stifle investment? And isn't it right that private companies should be given the support that they need to establish and to develop their businesses in the areas that work best for them?
I think it is vitally important that we allow private sector companies to choose. They will choose anyway. I mean, government cannot force a private sector company. And I don't think anybody in the House would be saying if you can get the jobs to Northern Ireland, don't take them unless you can get them to X, Y or Z. We have to show what is our best features, and we will do that, and we will outline particularly unique prospects for certain areas, but ultimately private companies will be allowed to make their own decisions, because the Northern Ireland Executive Programme for Government focused on job creation for Northern Ireland as a whole, and it didn't include a sub-regional target. So in Invest Northern Ireland, their targets are flowing from the programme for government. The job creation targets are also focused on Northern Ireland as a whole. But as I said to Mr Flanagan, we will work with councils to help drive business development on an equitable basis throughout Northern Ireland and with an increased sub-regional focus. And we'll participate in, we'll encourage the development of sub-regional plans which are informed and delivered by local people through the Council, and that they are locally led strategies to deliver the best results for those particular areas.
Mr Jim Mallis.
You could have said to Mr Flanagan, if he represented North Antrim, he would know that there is no preferential treatment for east of the ban. And perhaps on the figures that the Minister gave, Mr Flanagan, he should reflect on the population sizes of east and west. But in regard to North Antrim, does the Minister have any sense of the disproportionality which arises from the fact that in the last 5 years, on his department's figures, there have been 976 FDI visits to Northern Ireland, but only 8 of them to North Antrim? Does the Minister recognise the disproportionality that speaks to?
I think what we seek to do is to bring investment to Northern Ireland. And when I look at particular schemes that the member hasn't mentioned, I look at the success that the department did with Rightbus. I look at them tripling their profits. I look at the new investment that has come in from London to that particular area. Many people that I know in North Antrim are working in the likes of Randux and Schrader, where hundreds of new jobs have been created, and in terms of a world-leading product. I will continue to show the member there are a number of areas, not least Moy Park and many others, where we are seeking to encourage the development of export markets, to build businesses and to build jobs. But I think the member will realise that we market Northern Ireland as a whole. We want to bring the jobs to Northern Ireland. We're sitting with unemployment in Northern Ireland today, roughly a third of the European Union average, a third of the Republic of Ireland average. And if we are going to tell, and let's together get a passion for Northern Ireland, I'll certainly work alongside the member in trying to deliver for his constituency, as I will do for my own and every other single constituency. But we have to develop a passion for Northern Ireland to attract foreign direct investment. And the evidence, the proportionality, to answer the member's question, that I look for, is proportionally Northern Ireland has attracted more foreign direct investment per head of population than any other part of the United Kingdom. And 75% of all the companies that have come to Northern Ireland have subsequently reinvested, which is a huge vote of confidence in our product and in our people.
Sean Rogers, not in his place. I call Mr. Robin Swan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Question number 8.
I thank the member for his question. Manufacturing is hugely important to the Northern Ireland economy. It makes a significant contribution to export levels and research and development in Northern Ireland, and both of which are central to wealth creation. According to the latest DETI economic commentary in October 2015, manufacturing has continued to post strong growth, with output up 3.2% over the past 4 quarters. That's output up 3.2% over the past 4 quarters. And in terms of jobs, the sector added 1,870 jobs over the past year, which brings the total of manufacturing jobs to more than 80,000. And now, having taken manufacturing to more than 80,000 jobs in Northern Ireland, we should be cognizant that's the first time that Northern Ireland has achieved that since 2008. However, Mr. Speaker, there has been a number of major redundancies that have been announced. There isn't any room for complacency. My department, Invest Northern Ireland, will continue all that we can do to support investment, to create jobs and to promote competitiveness in the manufacturing sector.
Swan for a very quick supplementary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his answer and his acknowledgement in regard to the number of manufacturing jobs that has been lost in my constituency in North Antrim. Will the Minister join then with the manufacturers, the employees and the residents of Ballymena on the 6th of February in a rally for the future that's been organised by the Unite the Union?
I've already joined with a lot of local residents and with the manufacturing sector, and also with a number of new businesses, and also with Unite the Union, who had a very productive meeting. I've done it under the radar because there's obviously a lot of commercial sensitivities attached to where there have been job losses. I can tell you we have been looking specifically at the sites that have been lost. We have been developing the product that is there. We've been looking at, without breaking any of the commercial sensitivities, where some of the existing successful businesses are in the area and what we could grow on those particular sites. And I will be keeping that constituency, as I will keep all of Northern Ireland, very firmly in my mind as we seek to take forward a very unique proposition. Remember, we can tell the rest of the world, if you invest in Northern Ireland, you will have about 85% of the business costs of the rest of the United Kingdom, 95% of the Republic of Ireland. You will have a talent pool that you can draw upon, which in many cases is second to none. And from the 1st of April, you will have a corporation tax that is the most competitive in the United Kingdom. I encourage the member and all others to join with me as we take this message right across the globe to continue that trajectory of producing more foreign direct investment in Northern Ireland per head than any other part of the United Kingdom, including London.
Good questions, and I'm sure you weren't inviting all the members to go across the world with you at the one time. And so, on topical question that comes to Danny Kennedy.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister will be aware of the problems being experienced by many rural dwellers, including in my own constituency of Newry and Armagh, in obtaining adequate broadband provision. Can the Minister provide the House with an update on plans to enhance broadband service in rural areas generally and Newry and Armagh in particular?
There is specific difficulties in rural areas. I can say that we can provide the coverage for the areas, but I'm acutely aware of the speed of that coverage, and I'm acutely aware too that even when we say we can provide 100% coverage of broadband, very often through the pressure that is on whether particular beams, if it's satellite, many people cannot get there. I'm going through a number of postcodes with my department to see what we can do where there are specific areas. And if the member wants to give me the specific postcodes, we put the information up on our website so as everybody can see it. But if there are specific concerns, then I will seek to address those. We have tried to do where there isn't the sort of fixed line provision. We are looking at other initiatives. Some of them are still commercially sensitive in what we could do with other avenues to get broadband provision there. And we have seen the provision and the piloting through particular satellite systems. There is going to be a challenge. We have the broadband improvement programme with tens of thousands there, and we've also got the superfast broadband improvement product, all of which I have to say is delivering for many businesses. But I'm acutely aware that there are pockets that are experiencing significant difficulty, and if my postbag and the people that I'm speaking to at specific times, to say that we have 100% coverage is being increasingly challenged. Now, I will look specifically at what we can do for those areas, particularly in relation to satellite provision.
Mr. Kennedy for supplement.
Thank the Minister for his reply thus far, but could I draw the Minister's attention to the very inadequate broadband provision in the Glenanne, Enna, Claddymilltown and Altnamacken areas of my constituency, amongst other areas. I've received correspondence from BT indicating that these areas will not be included in the Northern Ireland Superfast Extension Programme until December 2017. Will he undertake to review this timescale, and would he be willing to meet with me to discuss the matter?
I'll certainly meet with the honourable member and the people particularly affected, and often what I like to do is actually see what the provision is at first hand, so we'll try and find some time to look at a number of rural areas where there is significant difficulty. I know the UK Government is committed to giving everyone across the UK a legal right to request a 10 megabits per second broadband connection by 2020. And it's envisaged that this will be achieved through the introduction of a new universal service obligation, which will be established by statute and will be implemented by Ofcom. and I understand that the UK Government is going to consult publicly on those plans early in this year. So my officials are currently working with the Department of Culture, Media and Sport to make sure that the specific interests of Northern Ireland are articulated, as the member has so well articulated the concerns in relation to his particular area. We have made it known that our preference would be for a universal service obligation aligning fully with the ambition of the European Union digital agenda.
On within the appropriate time frame, so I call Mr. Stephen Moutry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I ask the Minister to give an assessment of the performance of InvestNI in attracting foreign direct investment in the last 12-month period?
Well, the member will know in the past 2014-2015 period, that was a record year for overall jobs promotion in Northern Ireland. Out of 13,785 new jobs that were promoted, 5,661 were from externally owned companies. 1,047 of them were by 25 companies that were new to Northern Ireland. And I can say to the member that we will continue to target the priority sectors of ICT, financial services, business and professional services, combined with seeking to grow the life sciences sector. And so the past 12 years have been good, and we have to look to where the challenges come and also the opportunities for the next period.
Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his very positive answer. Can I further press him and ask him what difference the new rate of corporation tax is going to make to attracting foreign direct investment?
I think potentially it has been said to be a game changer, and all of us have to come behind Northern Ireland PLC, as it were, to attract the jobs that are there. We have had the economists telling us that in the 15-year period we can grow the economy by 10%. They've been telling us that we can add up to 30,000 new jobs, and I'm working alongside Dell to make sure that we've got the skills sector, which is challenging but necessary to get those particular jobs in. Invest Northern Ireland believe that a lower rate of corporation tax will enable Northern Ireland to compete for and to win a wider range of tax-sensitive investment projects, more than we currently have, because we're going to build on what I outlined earlier of Northern Ireland's success in foreign direct investment. And I know the lower rate of corporation tax will open doors, and it will give Northern Ireland one of the most competitive and attractive investment propositions in Western Europe for new foreign direct investment. And I should say that a lower rate of corporation tax will also provide a boost to local profitable firms who will have additional finance to invest in their growth and hopefully create more jobs and investment in the Northern Ireland economy.
And I call Mr. Fergal McKinney.
Mr. Speaker, I don't want to burst the Minister's balloon, but could he give his assessment of the weekend comments by Professor Paddy Johnson of Queen's University, who said that we're not investing significantly in graduates consistent with our corporation tax ambition?
I've taken a lot of cognizance of what Professor Johnson has said. I also spent quite a considerable time with Professor Nixon, the Vice-Chancellor at Ulster University, looking at specifically what we need to do alongside Dell initially and ultimately in the new Department of the Economy. We do know that we should be, if the Office of Budget Responsibility is to be, their assessment is accurate, that our economy will be growing, and hopefully as the economy grows we can allocate more of that money to where it is needed. I also know that the First Minister, when she was Finance Minister, held a very recent meeting with the Dell Minister specifically on those areas, and we will seek to address specifically the challenge that is raised to match with the corporation tax that is investment that will come.
Mr. McKinney for supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the Minister will be aware then of the further £12 million of proposed cuts to higher education in the budget. And will he outline how this cut will impact the strategic objectives of his department and the future Department of the Economy in terms of introducing corporation tax?
Well, the challenge is to us to work within the budget allocation we have been given. We have got a block grant. We can challenge that allocation, but we also have to work within it. And I appreciate that when I sit around the executive table, there are many, many competing priorities, and I know the member has been challenging for increased health spending, and in nearly every area that I can think, from roads infrastructure to agriculture, right through to my own department, if you give me more money, I can spend it, and I can spend it profitably and efficiently for Northern Ireland. But we have to realise we cannot spend the same pound twice. So what we have got to do is look at the resources that we currently have, look at the challenges that are coming down the line, and also look at the successes that we have. Because with very difficult resources, we are still well below the European Union average for unemployment. We are still attracting more foreign direct investment than any other part of the United Kingdom. And when companies come to me, some major companies, they give you one particular quote from a very senior executive of Allstate. They said, "I came for the costs in Northern Ireland, but I stayed for the people." When you have got an offering of talent, of cost and competitive tax, that is the challenge to all of us around the chamber, to deliver against that very attractive offering and to try to use our budget as judgmentally as we can to ensure that we get the most investment from it.
Comes from McCann.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Minister, given the cuts there has been to the Black Grant in recent times, would you consider establishing an economic and social consultative body in the North, involving important stakeholders and shaping a new economic and social approach to effectively targeting the patterns of inequality and underinvestment across the region?
Well, I think the Northern Ireland Executive collectively is looking at where we need to specifically to raise people out of poverty. That has been done at the start through assisting young people to get better grades at school, through targeted intervention at numeracy and literacy, through what you heard about earlier in terms of the childcare strategy. I think what we have got to do is focus and keep as our priority the Northern Ireland economy. Because while I say of all of the good things that we have done, I think all of us are conscious, as a member has pointed out, that we do have a 27% in that area of the last figures I looked at, economic inactivity index. And what we've got to do is see what we can do specifically for those areas. And sometimes I get challenged for bringing in jobs that are below the private sector median average. But of course the other challenge is to get people on the first step of the ladder. And last week I was in Ballymena with a wonderful new company, Appear. They're promoting 25 new jobs. They have potential to grow in terms of the UK and the GB market. And what you're seeing there is young people being able to access a pathway into employment that hopefully can lift themselves out of poverty.
For a quick supplement.
Thank the Minister for his response, but would he not also accept that a new approach is required that would build positive alliances between business organisations, employer organisations, the trade union movement, civic stakeholders, among others, to help shape a future economic, regional, social policy and a strategy to bring more jobs to the region?
We both agree, Mr. Speaker, on the goal. We may disagree on the particular methods, but can I tell you just specifically in relation to that, I've been meeting a number of businesses, and I've also met both at a local level, the CBI, and at their UK leadership level, and I know they have a specific corporate responsibility and are seeking to help in particular areas where they're working within. I also note some of the excellent work that business in the community is doing. I've spent some time with the trade unions last week. I'll continue all of those individual alliances to achieve that specific goal that we have, to drive down our economic inactivity, but also to increase the number of jobs in Northern Ireland.
Thank you. And I call Mr. Oliver McMullen.
My question, Sam. Can I ask the Minister, would he congratulate the GAA on UNESCO's ruling that the game of hurling has been designated to World Heritage status?
Certainly, I would congratulate. I've met the GAA on a number of occasions, most recently with the Deputy First Minister, as we put forward the whole sport offering that Northern Ireland has, GAA, rugby, football, all joining together. Northern Ireland has some unique sporting moments. Look, we're just off the back of probably one of the most successful sports personalities of the year in Belfast. And I mean, the Northern Ireland team was qualified for Europe. I'll skip over the weekend's Ulster rugby result. But yes, of course, I'll congratulate the GAA and I'll work with them in terms of how they develop sport and also how they develop and support the sport and improving the economy of Northern Ireland.
Thank you, and I'm sorry, but we haven't time for your supplementary, and that brings us to the end of topical questions. Thank you, Minister. And if the House would take its ease while we change the top table.